Thank you all for coming onto our Zoom live with Jenny. I'm super excited to have her. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, so fun to be here. Thank you, Rosie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have Jenny on here again. So, if you guys haven't seen already, we did do an interview last year and it is on YouTube. So, I did send that out in the email today. So, if you haven't done so, definitely watch that because we really deep dive into the beginnings of her business and her introduction into the Craft Academy and really just skyrocketing her business that way. So today is going to be a little bit different. We are actually going to do a catch-up call and we're going to talk about business sustainability. And instead of, just focusing on how to make the money, we're going to talk about how to keep the money and how to maintain a work-life balance as an incredible mom of four. So we've known each other for, I think, 4 years now. You're one of my oldest and most favorite calligrapher friends ever. And we've really just been able to watch each other's success and support each other from afar. Even though we've never met each other in person, I feel like I know you so well.
Same. We're going to make it happen. We will make this happen.
Yeah, one day we're going to meet each other in person. It's going to be so fun. So for anyone who doesn't know me or is new on the platform, my name is Rosie. I am the calligrapher behind Wandercrafter, and I'm also the creator of the Craft Academy. We actually help calligraphers create, automate, and scale their calligraphy businesses based on your unique story and methodology. So ever since I started my business in 2017, I have made countless mistakes and I've wasted so much time and so much money trying things that didn't really work or move the needle for my business. And after working with my dream brands like Dior, NBC, and Ferrari, I feel like I've really unlocked those secrets. And I'm on a mission to help calligraphy entrepreneurs bypass the same mistakes that I did so that I can, help you accelerate your path to success and reach the financial freedom that you want. So Jenny, give us a quick introduction on your business and your history.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me back. I cannot believe it's been almost a whole year since having that first interview after joining TCA. So it's fun to be back.
Isn't that wild?
It really is. This past year was kind of a whirlwind in the best of ways. So not to give too much away, but a quick introduction. I am a live event artist specializing in calligraphy, engraving, and bottle painting and hot foiling. I went from being a product-based business in 2020 to a service-based business in 2022 and absolutely loving the shift. All thanks to TCA.
Yay! So again, if you guys have not seen the interview from last year, highly recommend that you guys go listen to that. It really goes from the very beginnings of her business where she was only making $500 a month in December using, Glowforge and selling physical products. And now she's been able to scale her business from making a 4-figure profit in 2021 to a 5-figure profit in 2022. And honestly, she's more than quadrupled her income. She's sold her Glowforge. She got rid of all the physical products. She's made space for everything else that's more positive in her life. And she's been able to balance her life as a mom of 4 amazing boys, as well as a husband and a whole household to take care of. So I'm excited to really dive into that. Since joining TCA, Jenny has actually worked for amazing brands like Cartier, Givenchy, and Pandora, and so much more. And I'm so excited to dive into that. Okay, so Jenny, give us a quick and dirty start of your business and what did life look like for you?
Oh gosh. Okay. So, so I started my business in the fall of 2019. So our twins were just 1.5 years old. So our oldest is almost 10. But at the time it was having 4 kids under the age of 6. That's kind of insane. And so I was doing everything that I could, in the home. I'm really confined to being in the house a whole lot whenever you have little kids, because when you take them out, you know what little kids are like, and taking 4 of them out is just kind of stressful. So we stayed at home a lot and I started putting my creative side to use. And so life was really insane. Trying to create all the new products made it difficult to find a really healthy balance for us. So in the beginning, I really loved creating custom items. I really did. It helped me explore different mediums and styles to find what I liked or didn't like. But over time, it really became stressful because with each new order, it was like starting from scratch. And over time, I really lost my joy over the next couple of years because it was just more stressful than what I had hoped for. So that's the quick and dirty version of how it started.
And then you joined the Craft Academy. It was in November of 2021, so just about the end of that period. When did you start seeing results?
So when I joined, Craft Academy in November 2020 or 2021. And it was after seeing you and your fancy Cadillac event. I'll never forget that. The reel that you created like changed my life. I was not aware that that was a thing at the time.
Mm.
And I just looked up to you so much. So seeing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I want that. So I started having discussions about the Craft Academy and joining with my husband and investing, because anything worth its weight, like there's a cost associated with it. There's a reason that things are the price that they are because of the return on your investment, or it should be. TCA gave me so much more ROI than I ever anticipated. After I joined, I spent the next several months building the right kind of foundation for my new shift and investing in the modules that you created, the research, self-reflection, because without taking the time to set that right foundation, I really don't believe I would have had as much success. So my goal was to start getting consistent events by Mother's Day, and I did. Actually, it started in April because of pitching.
Yes.
So it took time, wasn't overnight, but it was the right way, setting the right foundations for success.
Love everything that you just said. I think it's really important to kind of recognize you don't know the opportunities that are out there unless you put yourself out there with it and surround yourself with the people that you want to become. And I think I remember as a beginner, like making just a couple $100s every single month. I was like, I am never going to make a 5-figure month with calligraphy. Like, this is impossible, right? Yeah. Until I started surrounding myself and following the people that did. And there wasn't a lot at the time, but having followed them, I knew it was possible. And once I achieved it, I started, showing everyone else too. And I think there's so many people that are on their way to 5-figure months now. So like, how do you know that it's possible if you don't surround yourself with people who have done it? Right. So, and everything else that you just mentioned about, setting the right foundation and doing the research, self-reflection, and really making a business that's authentic to you, right?
Yeah. In order to have really wonderful success, you really can't just step over these beginning foundations or your business will crumble eventually. Even if you have some immediate success, you just have to set it up right.
Yes, I love that. I love that. The Craft Academy, we start with the foundations. You really have to create a business that's authentic to you instead of doing what everyone else is doing. And that is so, so, so important. So give us a catch up. Where are you now? How did 2022 go for you?
Well, some great news. It went really well. 2022, I was doing so much pitching in the first quarter of 2022 because I had just joined TCA and I wanted to do it the right way. And so I gave myself some time, and also being a mom of 4 kids, there's a lot that I had going on. So I gave myself a deadline. And so starting at the very end of April through the end of 2022, I completed 40 live events and 8 workshops in that amount of time, which is insane. Going from like 0 to 48, because I was still doing some workshops at the time. I continued to pitch because if you're in this industry, you got to keep moving forward, right? To see results. So as we know with live events, I mean, you can have repeat clients, which is awesome, but you're really a contractor. So there's no guarantee. So you have to keep working for it. It's important to note that events aren't happening daily for me, and it's really easy to get lost in a comparison game. I think that there's a really positive, healthy way to compare and a really negative way to compare. And so you got to find that like middle ground. I've learned to stay in my lane and not compare so much. I'm setting goals for myself and working to achieve them. I'm not trying to achieve someone else's goals. It's hard to compare though. I think it's an important reminder. Like, we just have to stay in our lane, have that healthy comparison.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. It's so easy with Instagram these days with like seeing everyone's highlights and reels and just looking at how perfect everyone else's life is and really understanding that it's not always like that. And there's so much more beneath the surface that we don't see. What was like the thing that really helped your mindset when it came to not comparing yourself that way?
I think it's still something I'm learning. Actually, because when I'm in busier seasons, because they come with events, they come in waves, a lot of times based on holidays or just event seasons. And there's some really slow times. So it's in the slow times I find myself, I have more time to look at what other people are doing. And I have the kind of personality where I'm such an encourager. I mean, I love supporting people. I love telling them what a great job they're doing because I find that's important and just kind of uplifting to the community community as a whole. But I have to be careful because the more that I see, you start kind of adding, it's almost like you create this unrealistic person, but this one person, you take somebody from over here and all of their events and you add them here, and you take this person over here and you add their events, and then all you see before you know it, you like have created this fake person that's their calendar is full every day. And no one is like that. Even the most successful people, like, you have to take breaks. And anybody that is like that, you know, has had probably like a lot of years of pitching and relationship building. And so I think for me, just knowing myself well enough to know when I need to take a step back. So there are times when I do try and be active on social media as much as I can, but if I'm ever quiet, it's just I need a minute.
And that is 100% okay. Winter of 2021 for me was also the most chaotic, and having had events 5 days a week, I can tell you from experience, it is not fun. Okay. Like physically, emotionally, like relationship wise, it was really hard on my entire life. And I don't recommend that for anybody. Truly finding that balance is the key to not getting burnt out, because you can get burnt out with your calligraphy business, right? If you're not careful. So let's step back a little bit and talk about how you built your business and pitched yourself enough in a remote area like Texas. So she's actually in a really, really small town called College Station, Texas. It's much smaller. And I remember our first call where you're like, I don't know if we can do luxury events here. So give us a little bit of a gist about that.
Yeah. So a little bit of background about College Station. It's a twin city. It's Bryan and College Station together. So the two populations together, I think we're at about 200,000. So it's not a small town that like I grew up in Texas of 3,000 people. So it's more than that. However, about 70 to 90,000 of those people are actually college students. So if you can imagine, College Station, I love it so much, but there's such a small town mindset. There are certain amenities and it's growing. Within the past couple of years, I've really seen such great growth and opportunities potentially, but nobody does what I do here. So it's completely new territory. Nobody understands what I do. So I've had to work really hard building relationships and understanding my business enough and my services that I offer and planting that vision for them so that they can see. And there've been some really good things that have happened since then, but it's been so much work. There's so much more continual work to be done, but it is possible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
you've done it before, so I definitely know that it is possible.
Yeah.
So what is some tactical advice for anyone who's listening and might have that small town mindset? What pieces of advice can you give them?
Yeah, so I will say it's not a one size fits all. You really need to know your area, but there are some key things that I do believe can be applied to any smaller area. The biggest piece of advice that I have is that you need to network. You really can't grow like you should without networking. And so you don't have to be extroverted. In fact, funny enough, I'm very introverted, but I'm social, which is helpful. I just need that downtime to like recharge. I'm like, after I'm with
I'm
all
the same way. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I love being with people and I love going to events because I get that. I get to interact. I love the one-on-one conversations. That's why like an interview like this, I'm like, yes, I would do this all day, but put me in a room full of people and I'm like, where's my corner? So networking, you really have to be good at chatting with people. So do that.
Yeah. So networking, talking to people, being genuine. Yeah. And just like come in and talk about your art. There can be somewhat of an elevator pitch script, right? But you also want to be passionate about your art and show them that, because if you're excited about your art, they're going to get excited about your art, and then everyone's going to be, all the customers are going to want to come in and get your engraving on them or whatever you're customizing, and it's just going to be so much fun for every single person.
Yes. So that's, absolutely network. Consider joining your local chamber of commerce or other local groups that are meant for networking, so that you can do those pitches. Find local businesses that align with your values and services to collaborate with, and then just be patient. It's like the stock market. It's long-term. It's not short-term.
Oh, I love that. That's a really good analogy. So let's get some numbers on the board here. How many places did you actually pitch to, and how many of those wound up as paid jobs?
Oh gosh. Okay. So it's really tough because I pitched, I don't even know the amount that I pitched to, like minimum probably 30 local businesses just in my town, because I'm in College Station and it's kind of halfway in between Houston and Austin. So I also have events regularly in those places, but it's travel. So my goal is to like get as many here as I can. I know that I turn at minimum 29 pitches into paid events. Several were repeat clients, but that's a pretty good number. I felt really good with that.
Absolutely.
Nobody's ever done this here. So, and I actually,
and it really only takes just one, right? Because like that one person will hire you for all of the holidays and they'll tell their friends and the word gets out and it just compounds from there.
Yes. The more you stay in it, the more your name gets out there. And I actually, this is interesting. So I pitched to a company prior to TCA for teaching workshops before I knew anything about pitching. And it was for workshops, so it's a little different. I reached out again when I started doing live events and joined TCA. So that was like December 2021. But they finally hired me in December of 2022. So that was like well over a year and a half from my initial pitch. So just keep at it. Just because it's a no in the beginning doesn't mean it'll be a no forever.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to say it's not a no, it's not right now. So you just never know when these opportunities are going to actually flourish for you. You just have to be patient and really get the numbers in. I love that. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about pricing. Because I know there's a lot of people on here who are brand new to the live event industry and possibly brand new to calligraphy. And because of that, they feel like they need to charge a little bit lower than what the market rate is or what an established artist would charge. So let's talk about that. Why shouldn't new artists charge lower compared to more established artists?
Gosh, it's such a hot topic, right? It's one that I'm so passionate about because as artists, we have to understand that to keep our rate at market value, keeping it there, it elevates the entire community. It's not just about us. We think it's about us in the beginning because we think we're not worth that. We just want to start getting experience. So we'll charge at a lower rate. But what that does and what you don't realize, and it's unintentional, but it lowers the value of artists everywhere. So you can't do that. If you're charging $50 less than the market value, what this tells agencies or brands is that we really aren't worth the luxury price. You may think that you're just securing the job, but it's really doing more damage than you realize. So charge that market value because you're worth it.
Yes, exactly. Echoing everything that you just said, because that is so, so true. And I think one of the things that keeps you sustainable as an artist is actually getting paid for your full value, right? So if you are working for less than $100 an hour, and it really, between getting ready, driving to the place, setting up, and practicing all the things on the back end, you really start to dilute that hourly rate. And you wind up getting paid maybe $25 to $50 an hour if you continue to work at the lower rate. Because I've done that in the past. That for me was a sign that I wasn't building a sustainable business because I somehow ended up resenting the art that I was doing because I wasn't charging my full value.
What I have found is that there's a particular luxury brand I love, everybody loves. My local one was unwilling to pay my rate, not just by a little bit, but they wanted to pay $125 less than what per hour than what my rate is. And it's so hard whenever you see a luxury company and you know that in other locations they're paying what other artists are, charging and, the normal rate. And you want to just say yes because you want it. And so that's been one of the hardest things is me just having to politely decline. And it builds other opportunities for me to work with brands that will see the value in me. So that's something else that I wanted to mention too.
Oh, that's so important to really understand who your ideal client is and what your ideal budget is, and being able to say no to some of these opportunities. That must have been really difficult for you.
Yeah, it was, but worth it because there are better ones that come along and you want to work with the people that see the value in you because it gives you confidence too.
So working with someone who sees the value in your art and actually understands the value of it and is willing to compensate you fairly for it, that is the ideal client for me. How did you get comfortable with charging the market rate?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's just an uncomfortable thing, right? When you're starting out, it's just uncomfortable. You can't change it. However, the more you do it, the more you believe your worth, you're able to say it confidently. With time, you get a lot more comfortable sharing your rate with confidence, and know that if the potential client says no, then they just aren't your ideal client. You can move on. And if you're unsure of what market value is, ask. I don't know a single calligrapher that's unwilling to share. We may not put it on our websites, here's our pricing, but we share with one another because we want to elevate the community. So it benefits us all. So just ask.
Yeah, that's incredible. I remember when I first started, people were not as open to sharing what the pricing was and what the market value was. So it's amazing how like we've shifted the conversation to be much more open and more supportive to artists, whether or not they're in the Craft Academy or not. Definitely ask. Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to like network with your local calligraphers as well, because that's where referrals come from, right? And
yes,
anyway, what I think is the most important thing to take away from this conversation is saying no to some of the clients that don't bring you joy and don't satisfy your creativity and understand and value your work, right? Because when you start to say no to those people who are not your ideal client, you make space for the ones that are. And that, I think, is the key to finding a sustainable business. Because if you continue working for these lower rate clients, then you're going to have an entire client list of people who don't want to pay your entire value. And then you end up burning yourself out and, et cetera. Anyway, we talked about that already, so I don't want to overdo that part.
Totally with you.
We like to say in the Craft Academy, when you are charging a little bit more and increasing your rate for your business, we like to call it flexing your pricing muscle. So how are you continuing to do that as an established artist?
Oh gosh. Okay. So full transparency, the very first live event job I booked was at a really horrible price. I was unaware. I thought it was like a lot. Honestly, at the time I was like, are they even going to pay that? So It was right before I joined TCA, and I booked my first event for $50 an hour. Can you imagine?
That's okay. I mean, I feel like we've all done it before. And you really do have to start somewhere, because once you learn that and do it, you like learn from that experience. So we don't call it like a loss. We call it a lesson learned, and to move forward with it.
There you go. And I move forward. So fast forward to today, where my rates, they start at $700 for a half day, and they increase from there. Do I book every client? No. But am I booking the majority? Yes. So at that point, you start thinking, if I'm booking the majority, that's pretty good. Like that. So should I flex my pricing muscle?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, if you're already at a 75% closing rate, it might be time to bump that up too. So we've talked about pricing and how to really flex the pricing muscle and build somewhat of a sustainable business. Now we're there. You have this awesome rate of $700 for half a day. How are you continuing to maintain a sustainable business while also balancing motherhood?
Oh my goodness. Okay. That is a constant struggle.
I remember on one of our first coaching sessions, you expressed the frustration that your business wasn't really taking off or accelerating at the rate that you wanted it to. And you were just so annoyed, frustrated at yourself, frustrated at the growth. And I think this is a really common feeling that new entrepreneurs continue to have, especially when, they are looking at the comparison and looking at Instagram, doing all the reels and wondering why they're not having the same success. So what would you tell people who are at that stage of business and are just feeling super frustrated?
You really have to find things not only that bring you a lot of joy. You have to find what's sustainable. You have to find how can you balance, know what your priorities are. So really, for me, my children are my priority. My business is not. I love my business, but my job right now is to raise children. I can't just let them do their own thing and not invest in them. They are investments. And so I had to find something that allowed me to balance both, because the reality is it's really difficult in this day and age to not have both parents working, especially when you have a family of 6. So I'm I do have to do all of those things. So for me, it went from spending days in the garage with the Glowforge and doing all of those things to find ETCA. And then the shift to live events has freed me up so much. I still have to do admin and other little things that are, on the computer, but a lot of that is easier done like after the kids go to bed. So the live events, I have been able to do so much less work out of the home and get paid so much more than what I was doing. I mean, it took me, what was it? I've already made this year what it took me 6 months to make last year. And I've only worked like
really?
I've worked 6 events.
That's awesome.
I mean, it kind of, when I realized that, I ran the numbers. I was like, is that accurate? And yeah, it took me through the end of June to make what I've already made.
That's amazing.
The freedom.
I love that. I love that.
So thank you. I mean, all the methodology and everything, that's just completely shifted my mindset and what's available,
Yeah, I feel like, again, like we can go back to the foundations here, but like once you really establish that foundation in your business, you can only grow from there because you have a solid foundation to build upon. So she went from 4 figures profit in 2021 before the Craft Academy to making 5 figures. And now she's already doubled what she made last year. So I have no doubt that you are on your way to making those 10K months and doubling what you did last year. And we won't get too specific with numbers just to kind of keep it a little bit private, but just wanted to give you guys some kind of context that this is a long game. You can't expect overnight success. Like this is something that you continue to work towards year after year. And that's kind of the beauty of the Craft Academy. Because it is a lifetime membership, you will continue to grow as the Academy continues to grow. And, you're going to double the year after year. And it's just going to be so incredible for you, Jenny.
Yes, I know, the lifetime access. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then with that, if you guys want to join, all you have to do is book a call with me or a teammate. You can go to wandercrafter.com/calendar and you can find all the available appointments. You can talk to me or Tammy, who is our enrollment coach. And she's also a student too. So if you want experience as a student, you can talk to her directly as well. Let's kind of talk about balancing live events and motherhood. I know because, we have a lot of moms in the group too, and there's a little bit of mom guilt here, leaving the house to do events, not being able to do bedtime routine with the kids. So tell us how you're kind of balancing that.
Well, okay. So for me, for right now, we homeschool our older 2. Our twins are like in a weekday school kind of situation. So I'm with my kids a lot. So for me, it's kind of easy because I'm like, I get to spend a lot of time with them. I will say, even though it's kind of sweet because my daughter, who's almost 10, she still kind of gets sad whenever I'm not there to like tuck her in. I'm like, I know that won't be like that forever. She's getting into she's gonna get into those like preteen years, which it's just so weird, but I will take it for now. And so my husband, I just have such a supportive husband, which I know is not the case for everybody. That is what allows me to have the freedom to be able to go do the live events without so much. I do have the guilt, but without guilt, because he doesn't guilt me. He's supportive. And so if you have somebody there to like help, whether it's family or like close friends or whatever, just know that I think your kids know that you love them so much through your hard work, and turn it into a lesson of, this is real life, and that we do have to work. We don't have the luxury to just sit at home and do all the snuggles 24/7, which would be really cool. But it's also good for us too. So I find a lot of joy in getting away from my kids. I love them.
I love that.
I love being away from them and like having like that adult interaction and being able to create for people. So I'm really not ashamed to admit that. I enjoy the time away.
No, I love the honesty and I appreciate that actually. One thing to kind of keep in mind is like back in 2021, when you weren't doing live events yet, you were spending hours and hours and hours in the garage, right? Doing Glowforge stuff, exposing yourself to potential harmful chemicals, and having the kids stuck in the house because they don't want to be exposed to that either. So it's such a different lifestyle that you have now. You're going to these like luxury stores, you're creating happiness and joy for so many of your clients. And, that's like your adult time away from the kids, which is super cool.
It's so good. Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I come home, my 4-year-old is like, Mommy, did you have a work event? Like, yes. He'll say, how did it go? And it's just like really sweet, to come back to that. So it's a family thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when you're an artist and you can show your kids that you can make money as an artist and have a thriving business and a thriving life, you can demonstrate to your kids that, yes, it is possible to follow your dreams and follow that creative itch that you have. Like we're not in that starving artist mentality anymore. Things are different now.
That's right. No broke artists here.
Love it. What investments have you continued to make in your business as you're continuing to grow and keep it sustainable?
Yeah, so it's really important to me that I continue getting better at calligraphy because that's my primary niche. And so investing in that as well as learning new skills at the proper rate. So I don't mean like buying a course over here and over here and over here and squirrel brain and then not really getting good at any of them. So I don't mean that, but like knowing what it is that you want to invest in at the proper rate. So after I learned hand engraving, I've been developing my traditional calligraphy script and then learning how to bottle paint, of course. And we just never regret investing in ourselves, right? So it's been good. It's been at the proper rate, I think is the key.
Yeah, I love that. I actually had a follow-up question for that too. I know we talk about finding a niche a lot and niching down to what you're really good at. So you started off doing live events with engraving and calligraphy, and now you're expanding to bottle painting and learning different scripts. Does that make you feel like you're opening your niche, or do you feel like that's still within the same realm of the niche that you've selected in the past?
So I think with calligraphy, engraving, and bottle painting, and I think that they're really good like sister niches because what I'm finding is that there are a lot of companies that are starting to ask more for bottle painting. And as an artist, it's nice to be able to offer that. It doesn't come naturally for me, but the course, obviously we both know Michelle and Fundamentals of Bottle Painting, and that has, as a complete newbie, that has been really helpful for me, but I haven't, I've been learning it at a slow rate and just being okay with it being at a slow rate. Now, the traditional calligraphy script, that is important to me because if I invest in the writing portion, I mean, that immediately translates to hand engraving, hot foiling, calligraphy in general on so many different surfaces. And so for me, the primary investment that helps me niche down even further is actually learning the traditional calligraphy scripts. Not too many. I invested in a copper plate course last year, and I'll invest in a Spencerian one this year. So I'm not just adding on too fast. So for me, it helps me almost niche down even further. But I think that that's so important to know, like, don't overload yourself.
I love that. Yeah. Again, finding balance in it and adding things one thing at a time. I think a lot of people, brand new calligraphers specifically, they'll take on everything, right? They'll do weddings, live events, they'll physical products, digital products and stuff. And then it kind of gets convoluted, right? Your audience doesn't necessarily know what you do and what you're good at. So they'll just keep adding on random things because they know you can probably take it on. But once you really niche down and find the thing that you want to do, and for you, that's live events, then you can start to, find that one thing that you're really good at and then expand very, very slowly and start to sell that to your existing clients because you already have clients that know what you're good at.
Yes. I love that. Like, go back. I actually did that recently. Went and followed up with past clients just to talk about future events too, and just connect with them. So that's such an important reminder.
Cool. Amazing. So let's get into some tactical advice because I know I love giving tactical advice to everyone who's listening, just as a thank you for watching and listening. If you had to give one piece of tactical advice, what would it be?
Yes. Okay. So take action. Don't just sit and think that they're going to come to you. You got to work for it. Don't do all of the things like we just talked about. So just invest in it at an appropriate rate, at what's good for you, and narrow down your niche to focus on the things that you're really, really good at, because that's what you're going to find joy in. And once you establish that over time, you can add on more, but really, really, narrowed down.
Yeah, it's all about mindset, right? And kind of just saying no to some of these paid opportunities that might not bring you joy or doesn't compensate you fairly for as an artist, and really kind of getting over that fear of missing out on money. Like there's definitely a FOMO here. Getting rid of that and being okay with saying no to some of your non-ideal clients is so important. So thanks for sharing that, Jenny. Okay, I know we've been on here for much longer than I intended, but it's just such good conversation. And thank you to everyone who has stuck through so far. Let's talk about your future with Olive and Cedar Designs. Where are you going with your business, and how is the Craft Academy helping you with those goals?
Yes. So I don't see myself getting away from the service-based industry anytime soon. So with that, I really just plan on continuing honing my pitching skills and continuing to develop as a calligrapher like we had talked about. So TCA, it's been invaluable just because the variety of topics and knowledge within the modules that you've created, Rosie, and also just hearing other TCA members' experience and input. The community is really... it's so invaluable, and don't underestimate the networking. So network, again, as we talked about pitching, but network within the community. You need to have good, positive relationships. And be genuine with it too. So it's really, honestly, it's absolutely the best on the market, the Craft Academy, plus having lifetime access with updates consistently throughout the year. I don't know how you do it, but it makes it a no-brainer. I've been amazed at the time that I've been part of Craft Academy, which has only been a little over a year, close to a year and a half. You have done so many updates. You're very active. You're very invested in your students. And a lot of other programs, it's just kind of, I'm not going to give you one-on-one access to me, or I'm not going to give you much access to me, which I do. And I understand if you have, if that's just your model, but I love the Craft Academy and what you've created, because you've created genuine relationships and friendships and coaching. So I love it.
And it's so amazing to have you in the group too, and just really be kind of the role model and show people this is what you can do if you continue to follow the program and do the work. As much as I put into the program, I can give you the keys to the castle, but you're the one that has to take the key, unlock the door, and walk in. So you really do have to do a lot of the work, but we're giving you the entire blueprint for the whole thing. And it makes it super easy for you to build a sustainable business that really just brings you joy and gives you that balance in work and life, right?
Absolutely. It's what we're all searching for, really. As business owners and people, got to have balance.
Thanks, Jenny. So to bring the interview to the close, I do have a set of questions that I ask everyone who comes on. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about investing in themselves?
Yeah, you just never regret it. You're never going to look back and say, wow, that really wasn't what I thought it was going to be, investing in myself. It wasn't worth it. No, never. You're never going to say that. And it's never going to be the perfect time either. Just do it.
Yes, I love that. Love that. Second to
no
that,
promotion here. No sponsorship.
Second to that, what would you tell a calligrapher who is a pioneer in their area, who could be in a small town or new country, who's looking to build a calligraphy business in that new area?
Yeah, keep going. It's going to be easy to feel discouraged, but don't give up. Networking is really the key. And honestly, be creative. Live events are not limited to luxury brands. So think outside the box. Create your own opportunities. If you have the vision, you can pitch it to anybody. Anywhere there's people, anywhere they have events, gatherings, there are opportunities there. So, yeah.
I love that. That was perfect. That was a beautiful answer. And then the last question, what would you tell yourself in 2017 when you first started your business, knowing what you know now?
Really get my foundations right. If I'm going to call myself a professional, I really better know my skill and craft very well. So once you have that set, invest in a business coach that understands your needs and vision. This is one of the biggest reasons I believe a lot of artists don't make it, because they don't invest in the right guidance. And the Craft Academy was that for me. It was the right investment and exactly what I needed.
Oh, I love that. That was perfect. Amazing. Abby said, "Thank you, Jenny. You're such an inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story." And Rosie, this has been so informative. Huge thanks. Goosebumps. That's what we try.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone
so
who is on here live. We've got a couple TCA members on here as well. And it's just so amazing to see your familiar names and supporting each other from afar. I love it.
Yes. Thank y'all so much. Gosh, Rosie, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. And it's just been so great to be able to share my experience, because I think that a lot of us just want to know the personal experiences from others, and hearing that, being able to share what my experience has been, has just been really sweet. So thank you.
Oh, amazing. So I have known Jenny and mentored her for probably 4 years now, which is like still insane to even say. But I'm so proud of the growth that she's experienced. And she's worked with some incredible brands like Bulgari, Victoria's Secret, Saks, Cartier, and the list goes on and on. And for anyone who hasn't heard about the Craft Academy yet, it is a step-by-step coaching program on how to go from 0 clients to having and an expensive hobby to working with some of your dream clients and build the business of your dreams. And we give you all the templates that you need for pitches, emails, brand decks, contracts, like you name it, and you need it in the business, we probably give it to you so that you can find your niche and build multiple forms of income so that you're not just relying solely on live events. With the transformation that Jenny has experienced, we're here to show you face to face that our methods work no matter where you're located. She's pioneering the way in Texas, and if she can do it, so can you. So if this interview resonated with you and you want this transformation for yourself, definitely feel free to book a call with me or my team, and just go to wandercrafter.com/calendar. You'll see our calendar on there, and you can book a call with us and talk to someone face to face. We can help you generate just a little bit of extra income, or even grow your side hustle into your full-time hustle, just like Jenny did. Thank you so much for being on here. We've got a couple new members on here as well. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Thank you again for tuning in for this live event and sticking with us to the end. I know this is really long, and I value your time so much. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Grace.
Bye.
Bye.